In this video, we're going to do example 3 that is in the angles part 1 notes. So we're going to find two positive and also two negative angles that are coterminal with the angle that has measure 135 degrees. So the first positive angle that I'm going to find would be 135 degrees plus 1 complete rotation. And so that would be an angle that is 495 degrees. And remember what that means is 135 degrees and 495 degrees, when they're in standard position, will have the same terminal side. The reason we're studying this is because when we get into the trig functions, we are going to find out that you take, say, the cosine of two angles that are coterminal, then you always get the same value. And that's why it's important to understand what coterminal angles are. Okay, so a second positive angle that is coterminal with 135 degrees would be if I took 135 degrees and add on 2 rotations. And that comes out to 855 degrees. And of course we could do this an infinite number of times. So for any angle, there are an infinite number of other angles that are coterminal with it. So there's two positive angles, and now I'm going to find two negative angles. So I'm going to take 135 degrees and go 1 rotation in the negative direction. So that's 135 minus 360 degrees, and that gives me negative 225 degrees. And then I will also, just to mix it up a little bit, I will go 9 rotations. So I can take 135 minus 9 times 360, and that angle is negative 3,105 degrees. So let's do this for an angle that's given in radian measure, 11 pi 6. So if I take 11 pi 6 and add 2 pi, I'm going to work with the fractions by hand, but of course you can use your calculator to assist you with this. Then remember, to add fractions you need the same denominator. And so I would need to multiply 2 pi by 6 over 6. And that gives me 11 pi 6 plus 12 pi 6, which is 23 pi 6. And then a second positive angle would be if I went 2 rotations. And remember, with radians, 1 complete rotation is 2 pi. So I'm going to get 11 pi 6 plus 4 pi. I'm going to write that over 1, and I've got to convert that to 6. And because of space here, 4 times 6 is 24 pi, and then I'm adding that to 11 pi, and I get 35 pi 6. And so similarly, I'm not going to do all the fraction work for the negatives, but if I took 11 pi 6 and subtract off 2 pi and do the work with the fractions, I would get negative pi 6. And if I took 11 pi 6 and subtract off 2 complete rotations, so 2 times 2 pi, and I'd work with the fractions, I would end up with negative 13 pi 6. Alright, let's take a negative angle, and we're not going to find two positives and two negatives, let's just do one for each. So if we took negative pi fourths and we add 2 pi, okay, I got to change that to fourths, so I'm multiplying 2 pi by 4 over 4. That would be negative pi over 4 plus 8 pi over 4, and so I can see that 7 pi fourths is a positive angle that is coterminal with negative pi fourths. And to find one that is positive, let's find one that's negative, so I'll take negative pi fourths and subtract off a rotation. So that is negative pi fourths minus 8 pi fourths, which is negative 9 pi fourths.